In my hands, I have the Outdoor Vitals Shadowlight 60-liter backpack. This is the pack that I've used exclusively for the last 2.5 years. I've hiked well over 2,500 miles with it, and this is the exact pack that I carried throughout the entire duration of the Pacific Crest Trail. So today I'm going to be doing an in-depth review talking about the specs, the pros, the cons, and my personal experience with this pack. So let's get into it. All right, so real quickly, let's jump into the specs of this pack. Again, this is the 60-liter version, and that 60 liters does include the capacity in the external pockets, but it does not include the capacity of the roll top design. So 60 liters, I would say more like 60 plus liters, and then there's also a 45-liter version available on their website as well. Color of this pack is called Arctic, and the only other color option available for the Shadowlight, unfortunately, is dark blue. It's actually pretty similar to the color of the jacket that I have on right now. And those are the only two color schemes, Arctic or dark blue. I don't know why, not my favorite color schemes, but it is what it is. Now the weight of this pack, the 60 liter with the medium-sized hip belt, is going to be 1 pound, 15 ounces. And if you get the 45 liter version or a smaller hip belt, the weight difference is only going to be a couple ounces. I believe according to their website, it goes down to 1 pound, 13 or 14 ounces. So really not a big difference. Essentially, it's a 2 pound pack. Let's call it what it is. It's a 2 pound backpack. The fabric on this pack is called Robic. That's what Outdoor Vitals calls it. It's essentially just ripstop nylon is what it is. It's not really as fancy as they make it sound. Those white lines in there are Cordura woven into the fabric. This material is certainly not waterproof at all. It's hardly even water resistant. So if you do go out, plan on using a pack liner for this. It is not waterproof like Eco Pack or Ultra Pack or whatever the heck they're using for the ultralight bags now. You will certainly need a liner for this to keep your stuff dry. I will say this though, the ripstop nylon is pretty abrasion resistant. Like I said, I've used this for over 2,500 miles, and there are almost literally zero abrasions except for one teeny tiny one right here on my outside pocket. That is the only cut on this entire backpack, and I'm not particularly careful with the way that I handle it, so I will give it props for its abrasion resistance. It's probably slightly better than the ultralight materials that they're using. The trade-off, of course, is going to be weight. This is going to be slightly heavier, and then again, the waterproofing non-existent. All right, so the material is one difference between this pack and some of the more popular ultralight packs on the market today. And the other difference is going to be the frame. This is not a frameless backpack. There is a removable frame, so if you want to make it frameless, you can, but it does come with aluminum stays. It's not a full frame, it's kind of just like a long U shape that runs through here to give you a little bit more support and let you carry a little bit more weight more comfortably. Personally, this was one of the reasons that I looked to this pack, because I didn't want to go totally frameless yet. So here is the frame. It's just one curved piece of aluminum. You can bend it a little bit. It's kind of pliable. I don't know if I would recommend that necessarily, but it's not a lot, obviously. There are much more substantial frames in traditional packs. So this is just a very lightweight frame, if you want to call it that, that allows you to get a little bit more stability out of your pack without adding a ton of weight. Now, like I said, you can completely remove this frame from the pack. All you have to do is open up the main compartment, take off this little Velcro strap, it holds it in place, and slide your frame out, and now you have a frameless backpack. Now, in general, I am a fan of the frame, and I have always left it in there, but I will say my one gripe about this design is that sometimes the frame does not go all the way down, and the Velcro that is supposed to go up and over this and hook back down onto here to hold it in place doesn't go up and over, and the frame will ride up like it is right now. I'm trying to push it down further all the way, but it does not want to go down, so it can take some finagling to get it down far enough that you can actually flip this over top and secure it with the Velcro. There have been a lot of times where I've noticed that it sits like this naturally, the frame sticks out just a little bit, and I have just left it like this because I don't feel like going through the hassle of trying to shove it back down and Velcro it again, because I know that it's just going to ride up, the Velcro will come off, and then the frame will keep going up. So usually I just let it sit where it naturally sits, which is right about here. Let's talk about a couple of the other features of this pack that make it pretty unique and different from the other ultralight packs on the market. The first one you might have noticed, or if you've looked into this backpack, you've seen this zipper that runs the entire length of the outside of the pack. So the concept of the zipper is interesting, and that is if you need something from the middle or the bottom of your pack, you can unzip this, reach in, grab whatever it is you need, and then zip it back up. This concept sounds nice. The only issue I have experienced is if you are going to be waterproofing your backpack and you have a pack liner, then it kind of defeats the whole purpose, because if you have a pack liner inside this bag, then the zipper essentially becomes useless, because once you unzip it, everything is still in your Nylofume or your trash bag. So you're gonna have to go into the top and reach down and get it that way anyways. So this zipper is really only useful if you aren't planning on waterproofing your stuff, which for most people that are backpacking, that is going to be pretty rare. Now, the real benefit of having this zipper, in my opinion, is having these outside mesh pockets split up into two different compartments instead of just having one giant mesh compartment on the outside. This is really helpful for organization, because I can put certain things on this side of my pack and certain things on this side of my pack on the outside and know where things were without having to dig through a giant, one compartment mesh container and just feeling around hoping for the best. I would say, okay, in here I have X, Y, Z and it sits like this, and in here I have A, B, C and it sits like this, and I can find what I'm looking for very easily while still utilizing all the space on the outside of the pack efficiently. I'm also a big fan of this mesh that they used. It actually expands quite a bit more than you would expect. I have shoved a lot of stuff in here. It doesn't look like it's going to expand very much. It looks kind of tight, but the truth is you can shove a lot more in here than you think, and I haven't had any issues with stretching this material out. It always comes back pretty much to its general shape, its original shape, I mean. So this mesh has really been nice, and when it's close knit like this, sometimes you'll see the mesh that is kind of wider. I think they call it like diver's net or something like that. You don't have to worry about getting it caught on anything. This is also pretty abrasion resistant. You probably won't be able to see, but there's no cuts or tears or anything in this mesh either, which is pretty impressive, because every time I set my pack down, it's going up against a tree or in the dirt, or sometimes I'm sitting right on it or whatever it might be. So the fact that this mesh is still perfectly intact after 2,500 miles is pretty impressive, and I think they made a good decision using this kind of fabric for the outside pockets. Another feature on the outside of this pack that I found pretty useful is this little bungee right here. This is designed to hold an ice axe, and then it goes with this little loop right down here. Those two are meant to hold an ice axe, but I did use that a couple times. However, most of the time what was hanging on this was my wet socks or wet clothes or something, and I kind of use this as like a drying line where I would shove my socks in here, tighten the bungee down, and then go on and hike. And now my wet clothes are sitting on the outside of my pack, bouncing around, getting a little bit of air and drying out pretty quick. Another thing you can use this loop for is if you have a sun umbrella or something else, maybe tent poles or whatever it might be, you can stick them in the outside mesh pocket and then use this loop over top, tighten it down so that your umbrella or your tent poles aren't rocking back and forth. They stay nice and secure right on the outside of that mesh pocket. All right, next up, let's take a look at this hip belt. This does connect via two Velcro panels right here. So it just slides into the back of the backpack and Velcros on. And for the most part, I found that that was pretty effective. This does not ride up or come off the Velcro like the frame does. The hip belt itself has a pretty nice mesh. It's fairly comfortable. It's not the most supportive thing in the world. It's not like an Osprey by any means, but it obviously does have a bit more cushioning than some of the ultralight hip belts would, where it's really just like a seat belt strap or a nylon strap. There is a fair amount of padding in here, so it's relatively comfortable depending on how much you're carrying in your bag. And then the other thing I really loved about this hip belt is the giant, or I think they're giant, hip belt pockets. You can carry a lot more in here than it appears. They're essentially like two small fanny packs on either side. There's quite a bit of storage capacity in each one. This is the medium hip belt, you can see right there. I think these small hip belt pockets are slightly smaller, obviously, but the other ones are this size. Basically, the way I like to use these is one of them is for snacks and electrolyte powders and things like that I'm going to be consuming during the day, and the other one has the stuff that I'm going to need throughout the day, like sunscreen, my water filter, a knife, some chapstick, whatever it might be, things that will stay in my pack but that I need access to intermittently throughout the day that I don't want to take my backpack off all the way for. The price point on this pack is going to be right around $200, and Outdoor Vitals, I believe, is running a sale on this right now, actually. So if you're watching this video around the time that it was released and you go and check out their website, you might be able to find it for a little bit less than that, or just wait until they run one of their normal holiday sales. But $200 for this pack, I think, is very reasonable, especially in the ultralight market. Packs can go for way more than that. I mean, some of them probably twice as much, and even higher if you get them customized. So for a base pack that is at least capable of a through hike for 200 bucks, pretty good deal. At 2 pounds, this pack is going to be slightly heavier than some of the other ultralight options on the market. But again, you get some of those additional features that those packs might not have, like that aluminum frame, some additional padding in the shoulder straps and hip belt, and some additional, compartments, storage on the outside, as well as obviously this fabric is going to be different, not as high tech, but a little bit more durable and abrasion resistant. So overall, would I recommend this pack? The answer there is absolutely yes. I have enjoyed using this pack very much so. I've had no issues with it besides a couple design features that I mentioned that I'm not crazy about. But besides that, the quality has been great. It's held up well. You could use this pack for anything from a day hike to a through hike. So for most people, yes, I would recommend this unless your base weight is already stupid low. If you're already completely ultralight, you probably don't need the features that come with this pack. But if you are more middle of the road or trying to make that transition down from a more traditional approach, you have comforts that you like to keep with you, or the rest of your gear is not super UL right now, then I would definitely recommend this pack for what it is at $200. It's really hard to beat that. I am in no way sponsored by or affiliated with Outdoor Vitals. I am just a genuine fan of their brand and a genuine fan of this backpack. So whether you decide to buy it or not makes absolutely zero difference to me. I just hope that you got something useful out of this review. I appreciate you watching, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one.